Hi everyone, this is Leah from Real Time Board, and we're getting ready to start our MA with Laïla. I'm going to check if she's ready to go on air as well. Yeah, here's Laïla, and I'm inviting her on screen.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see
Hi.
you.
Nice to see you, Lena. So great to see you.
How are you?
Hi, me. I'm good. I'm good. I was just sending you a few messages because, I was just ready to go and happy to be here.
Same here, and we already have 10 people live.
Great.
And we have about 100 of them registered. So I'll
Oh,
guess we'll just stick around and wait until everybody who wants to join comes here.
okay. Well, it's great to know that so many people are coming today. Thanks a lot. I hope you can hear me okay and that the video is working okay.
Yes, everything's fine. And I guess it's a good idea for everyone who can see and hear us to write if
Mhm.
they have any issues. Yay, video and audio is all good. So
Cool.
this is great.
Thank
And
you.
a little bit of logistics. We have a questions and answers tab, and there are hi from Montreal in our chat. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. So we have about 10 questions in our questions and answers tab, and everyone is welcome to ask new questions and to upvote the questions that are already there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also put together a quick poll about challenges that people experience when collaborating remotely. You can find that under the polls tab, and it's a good idea to go there and pick an answer that fits you best. And something else I wanted to say, yeah, I mean, in case you have any issues, just let me know in the chat because I'm constantly checking it. And I think we're all set. We have folks from New York City, Montreal, and hopefully more joining us very soon.
That's cool. Where are you, Lena, at the moment?
I'm in Russia.
Okay, great. So for everyone who's there and following at the moment, I'm in Paris.
This is
And
great. How is Paris?
good. Today's beautiful. It's actually, I'm just gonna give like a sneak preview. It's just very blue sky.
Oh yeah, the
So
weather is fantastic.
the
Good for
weather is
you.
great. Yeah. Yesterday was a bit, or 2 days ago, there was a huge storm, like kind of felt like doomsday, but it's back to summer again. Thank goodness. So the poll is looking really interesting as well. Nice to see what people's thoughts are on the main challenges. I find that this is always different
Yeah,
depending on, yeah, depending on who you're speaking to.
and I think the options are actually pretty different because there might be issues with technology, and this is one thing, but then when there are issues with engagement and making sure everyone
Mhm.
participates, this is something else because like you can have your technology in place, but then not everyone will be involved. And I think we'll be talking about this a lot because people were asking questions about how to engage remote teams, what the best exercises are. So we'll get to that in a moment.
Mhm.
And this is funny. I'm such a Crowdcast Power user because I did one AMA session before, and
Yeah.
they offer a tour of the service. And I was like, who does that? Why would I need a tour? This is so intuitive. And then when we were doing this first AMA with our users, I realized that I can actually push a button, and when
Mhm.
guys were answering a question, I could record that
Mhm.
so that it's easier to
Oh
replay it
yeah.
and share it. And I never knew it. And I was like, oh, I should have watched the video.
Yeah. Sometimes those videos are worth watching just when you find those little tricks. Even though most of the stuff is intuitive, and I've used Crowdcast before, but only from a speaker's point of view. So that's why before I was a bit confused because I've been in like a green room in Crowdcast where people have you online before and then they kind of bring you in, but I didn't know they could also share it in a different way. So it's interesting to see all the things you can do with it. I haven't used it yet as an organizer, but I'm planning to do an event soon where we'll be using it.
It's actually it's great to use. I love it because I used to run webinars on a couple of different platforms, and it was like I had to put together a special dedicated support team for people who couldn't figure out how to log on to this webinar. And here it's way easier. But then there are small features that I didn't realize were there before, but now I know.
The more we use it, the more we learn. I see there's another power user, maybe Aaron. Somebody's asked me, what event did I speak at? I spoke at Out of Office. It's an online conference. It took place last week. And I spoke once more on Crowdcast, but I can't remember. It must have been a webinar I gave. But yeah, I don't remember which one exactly, but the Out of Office was really good and had a lot of speakers. I think they had about maybe even 8 speakers, but it lasted like the whole day. Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I actually watched it and I really liked it because it was a great discussion and lots of questions and people were networking and exchanging ideas. This was great.
Yeah, I participated in others, not as a speaker, just as a listener. And it's great to see how interactive Crowdcast can be. But also, yeah, Out of Office, the other conference they gave was, the first one was in October, I believe, or November. You can find those videos as well on YouTube. And that was the first one I had followed on Crowdcast. I think it was really good. It's interesting to see people from all over the world.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah. And it's really interesting and challenging at times to pick a time or when to do this online event because last time it was a little bit later and I had people from Australia message me telling me like 3 a.m. is a little bit late. So now I'm trying to find a compromise because we have users from all over the world and it's tricky.
Yeah, it is. It's always a bit tricky to do that. So yeah, I guess this is good enough still for people who are maybe in Asia and it's not too late yet. I guess now I just have like a world clock. Like in Malaysia, Indonesia, around there it would be almost 10 p.m. So it's not too late. And I guess for people in West Coast, they're just getting up.
Yeah, it's a little bit early. But then it's a good thing that you can do the replays. And they're still very interactive because I didn't realize that with the recording of Out of Office that you have, I can actually talk to people in chat if there is someone there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I hope John is having breakfast at the same time. That's what I would be doing, probably pajama breakfast and listening to this. Just out of curiosity, where's your team? What kind of time zones do you have in your team?
A bunch of different time zones because we have guys in Australia and guys in the States. So we're all over the place. And it's pretty cool because when you're creating a service for remote collaboration, it's nice that you can actually use it in action and understand how it enhances collaboration. So that makes sense to us.
Definitely.
But then you were saying that someone could be having breakfast sitting in their pajamas. But another cool feature of Crowdcast is actually bringing people who ask questions on screen. So we can do that for someone.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to see that. So would it show all 3 of us at the same time, or would one of us have to like go out, turn the webcam off and then?
I think you can actually bring people on screen, like up to 4 people, because my previous MA was with a couple of people, and there were the 3 of us, and one of them was sharing a screen, and it was all shared on screen. And Erin's saying that she encourages us to bring folks on screen. This is fun, but it can be unpredictable because if I'm watching a webinar, I'm totally wearing my like PJs and sitting with some food around me, my dog and my cat and whatnot. So that could be embarrassing as well.
Yeah, maybe it's good to ask them first if they'd like to be brought on the screen. But this is really good. This is good practice for me as well because myself and some other people who work for companies that are either doing remote work or organizational design and things like that. Hi, London. So I'm really attached to London because I was there usually, but now I'm in Paris. Yeah, we're organizing an event around future work topics where we want to talk about remote work and culture and organizational design and social impact. It's probably, I don't know yet, but I'll be talking about it online on Twitter or something once it's ready. And we wanted, we want it to be a very interactive event though. And what we like to do is make sure that people go away with it with like some kind of exercise or activity that they can practice within their businesses. So yeah, that's something, because I'm interested in remote work, but not only. And I think once you go remote, then you also start getting interested in so many other topics that affect, whether it's self-management or culture or all these things. It's not just about the tools and processes you have in remote work.
Yeah, and it's really cool to make online events engaging because I'm thinking for our next AMA to try and do like an online icebreaker, because we did a recent post on those, but I never tried doing any of them.
Yeah.
But this is something really worth trying because it's really interesting to get
I love
people
to see the post actually. Is it on the blog?
Yeah,
the real-time board.
Bring it up.
Yeah, because I've been meaning to do this for many months and I still haven't gotten around to it, but I've been wanting to write one on remote energizers, which is more than an icebreaker. It's for teams, people who already know each other. But when you're working and you're sitting in front of your desk the whole day and looking at a screen, it's good to get a bit physical sometimes and just kind of wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more difficult to do it when you're remote. So that's something that I'm looking into. And there's lots of fun stuff that you can do.
I think I will look for it because I remember reading it like a couple of weeks ago. So I'll find it and send it to you and share with everyone who is with us today. Okay. And I guess we are good to go.
Okay.
So I suggest that we start with some warm-up questions.
Okay.
And
do I have to introduce myself anymore, or?
Sure, that would be a great idea. Yeah,
I did prepare just some slides if that's helpful at all. Yeah, I don't know if, let me see if I can actually share my screen. Otherwise, I'll just say it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna share my screen for a second.
Okay.
Just quickly, I don't have that many slides at all, but just so that people know who I am. So can you see this okay?
Yes, I can see them for sure. And let's make sure that everybody else does as well. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. So I'm going to keep this really short, but just so you know, my name is Laïla. You can find me on Twitter at that Twitter handle. And the one just below is the one of the company I work with, Hanno. Just a very little introduction about Hanno. We are a digital product design team. And basically, we build a lot of digital products for all kinds of businesses, and we also try to help them understand, what this digital economy means and how they can grow and be successful in it. So Hanno has been around for 5 years now, and I joined 2 years ago. And the team at the moment has 10 people, and we are a fully remote team. So you can see all the kind of places we've been in recently. I'm actually in Paris at the moment, but other people on the team, some people are traveling more often, others are based in one city most of the time. And we come together online to collaborate, and we've chosen this kind of work style and lifestyle because we think that people shouldn't be restricted to a certain place in order to work somewhere. And we think that if people can choose a place where they're happier, that's also going to make them more motivated and committed to come to work. And overall, we feel pretty good, and we're happy to work together that way. And a lot of people know us for how we work, because it's quite a unique way of working. The other things that we are known for, aside from being fully remote, is for being self-managed, meaning that we're a flat team and we kind of take decisions in a collaborative way. There's no hierarchy. We're also very transparent about how we work, both with our clients and with people who follow us. And we share a lot of our processes and just like our general roadmap and where we're going, also our failures. And we have become a social business. About a year and a half ago, just after I joined, we've decided to invest our profits as much as possible into projects that have a positive impact. And then, yeah, in terms of our services, so we mainly do user experience design, but UX design is quite broad. So personally, I work mainly in research and user testing and prototyping, but we also do a lot of other things, a lot of web development. We have most of the people in our teams are either front-end developers, or we have engineers as well. And I also give workshops around UX design and remote collaboration and design thinking. Yeah, and these are some of the clients we've worked with. Uber is one of them in the very beginning when they started in the UK and in Europe. And Ava is an example of one of the startups that we've worked with in the past who also have a social impact. So they work primarily with they do an app that transcribes text into speech into text, so that deaf and hard of hearing people can follow conversations around them. So yeah, I guess I'll stop sharing now. And
okay, and let me get back on screen. Okay, there I am.
Yep.
So how do you want to go about answering questions? We can go bottom up, like first answer the questions that got least upvoted, and then up to the most popular one, or vice versa.
I have no specific preference. So yeah, any bottom up is fine with me. Why not?
Yeah, and there's a really cool question from German. He's asking, what project are you most proud of so far?
Okay. Well, actually, the last slide I showed where we had Ava, that was probably the one that I'm the most proud of. Because, first of all, because it was because of the impact it has, it's creating an app for the whole deaf and hard of hearing community, which is millions of people worldwide, and which has the capacity to completely change their life entirely, just from being able to understand what other people are saying around them. So the founder of Ava was born and raised in a deaf family, but he can hear, and so he has already firsthand experience of everything. And working with them was really incredible because first of all, it was a community that I wasn't really familiar with, although Hanno's founder is deaf as well, not entirely deaf, but that's the only person that I knew, and I wasn't familiar with others. So we helped them improve the onboarding of their initial app, and we did a lot of user testing. We did a lot of prototypes in 1 week. We did about 8 low fidelity prototypes. And did testing. So we tested the apps with the onboarding experience with students in a deaf school in the US, and also with adults using Skype and using, we would be sharing screens. We did the prototypes on a slide share, just like the one I showed you. So like I said, they were very low fidelity. And what was great was just seeing the effect that seeing this prototype and seeing what this app could do on the reaction that people were having, and saying, wow, this app is amazing. And yeah, being able to get their feedback directly iterating it live as we were speaking. I think we were all very humbled by the experience as well. But we learned so much, and we became really good friends with the 2 co-founders. So that was probably the one I'm most proud of.
Yeah, this is a great project. And do you have like a success story, something that people can read online about this project, see what the outcome was?
Yeah, they can. I'm actually just going to try and share it. So this is just their website, just so you can understand what they're doing, ava.me. We do have a case study on Hanno's website, which I can share. And
Yeah,
I
that
also,
would be great.
yeah, I'm going to share it now. Also, what at the time I was writing my master's thesis on design thinking and how to do it remotely. So I used this particular project. Sorry, I put the Uber one instead. My bad. I wanted to put Ava because I was thinking of the slide before. The Uber one is also a good success story, but let's not get distracted. This is the Ava one. There we go. So I was writing my master's thesis about remote design thinking, and I used the project we did with Ava as our case study, as my case study for my thesis. And it was the first time that Hanno was, that's also why I'm proud of it, I guess. It's the first time that Hanno was learning about design thinking, applying it directly. So what we did at the time was we did a team retreat, because twice a year we try to meet all together in the same place. And we all went to Buenos Aires. We decided to have a coach come in as well to teach us about design thinking. I had already done a master's degree that had design thinking at the core of it. And then after that, we did a few exercises to get more familiar with it. And then the first project where we actually applied what we had just learned was with Ava.
That's
so
pretty amazing.
Really good. Yeah, I'm actually, so then I wrote the whole thesis. This is chapter 6. So there's like, I don't know how many chapters, too many. But this is the case study where I explain how Hanno was back then. We were a smaller team back then. And I look into the tools and how we communicated and how we learned about design thinking, who Ava back then was called Transcends. So they've changed name in the meantime. So don't be surprised if you don't recognize the name. But yeah, it was a really good project.
And there's no question here about it, but I really feel like asking it. Can you tell us more about your team retreats, how you get to decide where to go, and all that kind of exciting stuff?
Sure. So the reason we meet twice a year is because that human bonding and seeing each other face to face is super important. That's when you actually, I think, really get to know people's personalities more, and you can connect with them better and better. So we used to be more spread out between Southeast Asia and Europe. So what we would do is sometimes pick a location that was closer to people in Asia, and sometimes pick a place that was closer to people in Europe. Although the one in Argentina was completely
awesome. That's why it's a really cool place. But then, how would you pick it?
So I had joined after they picked it. So I don't know what the thinking was there. I think they really wanted to go to Patagonia. A lot of people at Hanno really love being out in nature and hiking and camping. Me less so. But I didn't go to Patagonia. I just joined them in Buenos Aires. And then in the beginning, when they used to do these retreats, before I joined, they would focus a lot on spending time with the team to, I don't know, improve something internally, like our website or our company vision. And then the last 2 trips, we decided to take it more easy and focus more just on enjoying ourselves and the presence together and doing more relaxed activities. Because if you're always working, even when you see each other, it's almost a shame. Like you miss out on just getting people outside of work. Yeah. So, I mean, we would take like the weekends to chill out and hang out. But the weekdays would still be working on like internal sprints. And the last 2 times, so the last time we met, we were in Sri Lanka. That was in March this year. And we decided to focus on yoga and surfing. And everybody had to try at least one exercise once. But I ended up doing yoga and surfing every day. And it was the first time I did something so intense. But it was really good. Yeah.
And I think you posted about it on LinkedIn. I saw it like 3 days ago.
I also have it on, so I'll just post that blog post. I put it, I called it the Hanno Boot Camp, because there was a little element of waking up every morning at 6 to be in the yoga space, which was the beach, at 6:30, and it was a bit intense.
It is, but
Yeah.
it sounds like fun anyway.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, let's move to our next question, and let me read it. How do you ensure that the clients Hanno takes on are capable or suited for remote collaboration? Do you have a vetting process or questionnaire to gauge the compatibility of a potential client? Obviously, team-wide remote collaboration is important, but I have to imagine collaboration with remote clients is equally important to your success.
Yes. Yes, collaboration, remote collaboration is super important for us, of course. So one thing that we have at Hanno, which we make all our clients read before we sign anything with them, is our playbook, which we've actually just we've just updated and we've called it playbooks. So I'm just going to post it here. So the Hanno playbooks explain how we operate, and now we have one on engineering, and we also have one on remote work. But the first one that you have is based more on how we operate. So we ask clients to look through that, especially so that they can understand how we work. And the reason we do this is because we don't want any kind of surprises to come at the end, or at the end during the project. So we try to also, of course, we have calls with them. We can clarify any kind of doubts they might have about how we work together, and then we have once we've agreed to work together and actually sign a contract and everything, we make sure we have like a kickoff call where we can explain to them the tools that we're going to use, like Slack, or other tools like online whiteboards, like real-time board or whatever it is. We'll show those tools and we'll onboard them. And then we'll set up daily stand-up calls with product owner on the client side. So we make sure that there's somebody on the client side we can always turn to. And our whole creative and designing process is all very transparent, because basically as a team, we're sharing everything on Slack all the time, and we're having video calls and so forth. And then we use Google Drive, we use Basecamp to communicate with the client. We use different things, but at any time, the product owner, anybody on the client side can come and see what we're doing as we're doing it. So it's actually by doing that, I think it kind of gains their trust as well. They can see that, hey, these people are working on it, and because we work in sprints with 5 days or more, they know that we're only focusing on their project, and there's no other client, at least for that team, at that given time. So I think that's super helpful. I don't know if I've answered the question fully, but
yeah, and I think it would be interesting to understand, to me, it sounds like you're actually, in a way, sometimes changing the culture of the client as well. Mm-hmm. But does it ever happen that you see that you might not be a good fit because the client is still not ready for the remote collaboration side of things? Or
I think that's not really happened in terms of they're not ready. I mean, it has happened maybe once or twice, at least since I've been here, that a client says, well, I'd actually prefer you guys to be in the same city, and we're not that way. So but that hasn't really been a problem. If what happens when we get a potential project is that we discuss it with the people who have the skills to do that project. So usually we create teams of 2 to 4 people to be on a sprint, and we'll get those people together on a call maybe and say, hey, what do you think of this project? First of all, we look at the times and see if anybody's, if those people are already busy on something else. But if the project is interesting for us and it's aligned also with, the kind of direction we want to go and what we want to be known for as well, and it looks really interesting, then we'll take it on. But then if we're not a good fit, it's not maybe because of our remote aspect, but either it's not a good fit because we don't have the resources to do what the client expects us to do, or we don't have the time. And that's when we have to turn down projects, or they don't have the budget. That has also happened, which is, I guess, classic for any kind of design team.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But I don't think we've had problems in terms of, we're remote and, we can't communicate with you, because we can show through our website and through so many things that we're very capable of working this way. We have the expertise. So, and yeah, if they want to work with us, it's really because of the skills that we have technically, and those skills other teams have as well. But then it's just a matter of we fit or we don't, because we make them a proposal in terms of the whole project solution that really interests them and that solves their problem.
Yeah, hopefully this answers Max's question. And Max, if you're online, if you're with us, let us know if you got your question answered or you want some more details. And there's another one from Aaron. So the question is, there's always a situation, bad call quality, mic stop working, where remote communication can disrupt the workshop or session. How do you handle situations like this, and do you prepare for this? That's a really good question.
Yeah,
because
that is
I don't have a backup plan, really, so I hope everything goes fine.
Yeah, so our backup plan is to always have 2 people in a call, at least. So whether it's for a client call that we're doing, or whether it's for a workshop, for example, in a workshop, I always have 2 facilitators, myself and somebody else. And not only is that more interesting for the participants, so that they don't have to keep listening to my voice over many hours, because it's nice to, it's more refreshing to hear somebody else, especially online, because your focus is a bit limited sometimes. But also because if suddenly my connectivity is not good, the other person can take over. So that's usually what we do. If the mic stops working or anything like that, then there's problems that you can't just fix right away by having another person. Sometimes it's just, I could be here, but my mic isn't working. Then, I could unplug my headphones, stick them back in again. We just try a lot of things. Hang up on the call, try try reconnecting again. I mean, unfortunately, technology is not, super good anymore, but it kind of reminds me of these days when I call people on WhatsApp or on Facebook, because people don't call each other the normal phone line anymore, or FaceTime. I feel like the first question I'm asking to everyone is can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I there? Can you hear me? And half of my conversation is just, can you hear me?
Sure, yeah, that you're being heard.
Yeah, so I think this isn't a problem that's only connected to remote work, but it's just a technological problem that is hopefully going to get improved in the years to come. And if we see that somebody's lagging or if connection is slow, we ask the other person to turn their video off, or you just kind of have to improvise. But at least I would say this is having 2 people on a call is always a good idea.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Aaron is saying that one time they had someone use their laptop as the mic to get things going. So that's an option too.
That's an option.
Yeah. And I don't know if you watched this episode of the Silicon Valley where they do this 3D conferencing. It's hilarious. I'll need to find a video from this episode. It's hilarious because they're getting a pitch of this 3D video conferencing and it doesn't seem to work. Then they switch back on Skype. It doesn't work either. They try calling their phones. It doesn't work either. It's nothing works. That happens.
Yeah, that's the story of my life sometimes. Outside of work as well, not just at work. Okay, I just give up. I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah, and when I was watching it, I was laughing so hard because I think everyone can relate to these problems when there is not a single option that's working and you're very desperate.
I also remember, I don't know, I don't use Skype so much anymore. Unfortunately, it's not, so I don't know what's
stable, maybe?
Stable as it used to be. But I remember I used to call it Skype crickets. There was this noise on Skype, it was click, 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 and the crickets are back, and sometimes it was the other person would hear them on their side and I wouldn't hear it, but I kind of felt like I was in nature all of a sudden, and the Skype crickets were special as well.
And Andrea is saying that meetings in real life has many problems anyways. People are late, meeting room not free, etc. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in this sense, I would say that with remote meetings, people actually tend to be on time more often because they have this calendar reminder pop up and they feel more responsible.
That's true.
Okay. Another question that we have here is, what do you find the most exciting about your job?
What do I find most exciting about my job? Wow, there's so many things. I think what's really exciting is, well, first of all, what I like about my job is that it's always different. There's always something new. We're sometimes working on long-term projects, but usually our turnover, our project turnover is pretty fast, and there's a lot of things happening at the same time. And I've done everything from like content strategy to user research to user testing to giving workshops to meeting people in real life if I have to. It's just a very fascinating industry to work in, I would say. I guess what I specifically like about Hanno, of course, is also the flexibility it gives me. And you know, today I'm sitting here, tomorrow if I want, I can be in another country. So of course that comes with challenges, you know, like finding good Wi-Fi and finding a quiet place to work and all those things. But I think that's very exciting as well. And then knowing that I'm going to see my teammates once in a while in real life is also great, because I know their personalities online, and it's funny to see how people can be different online and offline. You know, there's some like big jokers online, and then in real life they can be pretty silent people, or the opposite, you know. So I think that part of my job is really exciting to get to meet my team and get to know them better and better, and then do fun stuff together. People might not consider that work because it's not actually working necessarily for a client, but it's all part of, you know, it's actually super important, especially when you're remote, to have that kind of human aspect.
Yeah, agreed. And there's another question from German on chat. He's asking, what is your biggest dream related to work?
Wow. So my biggest, so I don't know if you, if this person was online in the beginning when I was talking about the event that I'm trying to set up with a group of people. Hopefully latest in 2 months we'll have it set up. But I find it disappointing when people say that they can't work the way we do because XYZ reason, or it's never going to work, or they just think that this is only specific to people who work in tech, which at the moment it's, you know, the majority of people who work this way are in tech or in design. And so my biggest dream at the moment is to take this work style outside of tech and make it more mainstream. So usually I'm not a big fan of making things go mainstream, because then I think it loses its charm, you know, or if like a tourist destination becomes super popular, then it becomes overloaded with people. But when it comes to work, or to this kind of work, flexible working, and when I say flexible working, I don't only mean remote work, I mean also being able to choose when to come to your job, when to start, based on, you know, your own needs, and you understand yourself better as a person, whether you're more of a morning person or evening person. If there can be more and more companies allowing their employees to do that, and if there can be more people who have the resources they need and the advice and the counseling they need to do that, then that's going to make a whole bunch of happier people in the world. You know, we all spend the majority of our time at work, and I guess this is my dream. It has nothing to do with Hanno or like a person. I think I've gotten my dream job at a very in a very unexpected way, but pretty early on in my life. And I want to make other people be able to have everything they need to do that, especially outside of tech. So that's something that, you know, if you guys keep in touch in any way, or follow me afterwards on Twitter, or just follow the Hanno's blog, it's something I'll bring up more and more. And I love people to help me out, to reach out to other people, whether they're working in health or environment or social stuff or politics or whatever it is that people are working in, finance. I really want this to go out and not just be like a buzzwordy thing that we say future work, and, you know, my friends who are like doctors are like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
That's a beautiful dream, and I think it's getting more and more relevant to a lot of people because, like, I guess maybe 5 years ago, when people in tech started working flexible hours, everybody was like they're only drinking beer and playing ping
Yeah.
pong. But then, when everybody saw that all these companies are so successful, they realized that you
Mm.
can have flexible work hours and still be very, very productive. So I think
Mm-hmm.
many people from traditional
Yeah.
industries are looking up
Yep.
to tech companies. So that's
And
great.
I also want people not to think of flexible working as the person who goes to a tropical location and works from the poolside. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what it's about. You know, I kind of want to bring more professionalism into it and make people realize that actually working by the pool and by the beach is not really convenient. That's
It's
just,
not at all.
it's
It's a lot
not.
of work.
It's actually frustrating. I've done it once and then I felt ridiculous, to be honest, because I just could see people swimming and I was like, what am I doing here with my laptop working?
And the
And I
Wi-Fi is
couldn't see
not
my
great.
screen and the Wi-Fi is not good. I had the
Mhm.
sun reflecting. I was sweating. It's just, yeah, too much glare. Exactly.
That's true.
So I really get annoyed when I see like remote work and you see this like this photo with Getty Images almost, you know, the person sitting on a rock on a
Yeah.
cliff. I think I used that in my thesis in the beginning because I was still not aware of what that meant. But yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that great answer. And we have a question in our chat from Bruce, and it's similar to another question that we have, so I'm going to read both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And John is asking you if your thesis is available. Can we read
Yeah.
it online?
I put it online. I'll put it again. I put only chapter 6, but I'll put the
We
main
want
page.
to read all of it, not just
If
chapter 6. Bring it
you can
on.
read all the 15,000 words and knock yourself out.
That's a good weekend read.
Yeah, John is my John is Hanno's founder and my colleague, so he just posted it.
Thank you, John. Very helpful. So, here is a question from Bruce. How do you
Mhm.
encourage everyone to participate in a remote brainstorming session? And there is another question from Natalia. And her question is, how do you usually organize a remote brainstorming session? Or is this type of collaboration just impossible to replicate with a distributed team?
Mhm.
So, do you organize? And if you do, how do you get everyone involved?
Yeah, so we do organize a brainstorming or ideation, whatever it is that you want to call it. So at Hanno, we're very familiar with the design thinking process and mindset of approaching the problem from a very user-centered point of view. And earlier on in the stage, we do have our ideation phase when we're doing these sprints using design thinking. So yeah, we do bring people together. I mean, it depends because we actually do things asynchronously and synchronously. So what might happen is that we might ask people, for example, to come up with ideas on their own in their time zone or in their, even if we're all online at the same time, people are busy doing different things maybe. So we'll ask them maybe to come up with their things in their own time, and then we share them as a group. Because one thing we've noticed, and I mentioned it in my thesis, is that when you're all collaborating online at the same time, it on the screen, it takes up a lot of energy to keep looking at the screen the whole time, and people aren't very focused. So sometimes it's better to separate, do your own thing alone individually, and then come together and then share your ideas and then ideate on each other's ideas. And then what we found super useful was having a facilitator. So we'll have brainstorming sessions online with a video conference tool. For example, Zoom is our preference at the moment. It used to be Skype, but now we find that Zoom is a bit more reliable. And then we'll have like an online whiteboard, whether it's Mural or real-time board, or we've tried other ones, but I think these two are definitely the better ones. We'll then use these virtual sticky notes or whatever it is to come together, and we'll have a facilitator in the call. So we kind of decide somebody to facilitate, because otherwise people don't know when to do what they have to do, and it just feels a bit awkward online. But actually, even offline, it's good to have a facilitator for brainstorming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's very similar. And then I've tried in the workshops that I've given sometimes to put music on as well online, and to get people when they're kind of brainstorming silently. I'll put music on, and it kind of, you know, the tempo and everything creates some kind of momentum. So that's all pretty useful.
That's actually a pretty cool tip.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't see, like, when you're in a physical space, you would maybe do that. So I don't see why whatever it is that you've done in real life, you can't find the equivalent online.
From my experience organizing workshops, remote brainstorming, or collocated brainstorming, one thing that we as a team arrived at is that it's very important to do some preparation and have this must-read list. But then the challenge is sometimes to get people to actually look through the materials to get ready for them. Do you have any tips for that? Like how to actually get them engaged before the brainstorming session so that they prepare and they are focused when they come to the actual session?
So before the workshops, well, before the brainstorming session, we can share some information if it's within the team. We'll share it maybe on Slack, and we'll give people like a little homework to do. But it's, at the end of the day, it's, I mean, if it's for a client, people will do it. You know, in our team, we will do our homework. If it's for the workshops, not everyone will do it. And I think I haven't found the magic trick yet to make sure that everybody reads or does what they're supposed to do. I guess the thing is, though, to make it as short as possible so that it doesn't have to be something long and tedious to read.
Unless it's your thesis that is going
viral. Unless it's my thesis, yeah. Viral would be a different story, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think keeping short and sweet is a pretty good idea. We have more questions coming in the chat. First, there is a question about the music. How do you share the music? What do you use to play music during remote brainstorm?
So what I do is actually I can do it. I can do it now. Let's see how it works.
Yay, we're gonna play some music.
Spotify open, and then I have a Hanno workshops, remote workshops playlist. So yeah, I unplug myself, and then I'll just put, I don't know if you can hear, okay, I picked probably the quietest song, but I just take this out, and then maybe you can hear something now?
Yeah, I can hear the music.
Then it depends on how loud you put your own. So I can put it louder. Like that. That's what I do, basically. And
you actually have playlists for your workshops, right?
I have made one.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's like some songs, like that one is more quiet and it's more instrumental. Actually, most of them are instrumental. I find that it's less distracting. But then I do have some songs which are very, very bouncy, very energetic. That's more when I want to really create some kind of pressure on the people and on the teams. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. There is a question from Jared. He's saying that he's not in tech space, but he's designing principles for the facilitation of human aspects of work and building social architecture and org structures. And his question is, do you feel that these types of virtual team and processes would translate? That's an interesting question.
It is. I'm just going to reread it again.
Yeah.
I feel that these types of virtual teaming processes would translate to human aspect. I'm not sure I understood the question.
Probably translate if they're applied outside tech space. Let's ask Jared to tell us if we understand the question correct.
Well, he does that very quickly because I just realized this is something not very, it's a bit unexpected, but I changed my position before and I didn't take my charger with me, and I need my charger right now, so I'm quickly just gonna grab it and be right back.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
There we go. The beauty of co-working spaces. You're always moving around. Where's my charger?
Last time, it was I was doing an AMA from home, and I realized that I'm not charging. So I actually texted my boyfriend, telling him to like plug me in, plug me in. And then he crawled and plugged me in. But this was so funny because I was like, oh my god, I'm going offline in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, okay. At least I had my charger today, because sometimes I give it to somebody else, so I'd have to go like on another floor and look for it. But yeah, so exactly, do they translate in other industries? And more work people feel in person is best. Yeah, I definitely think these things can translate to other industries. It doesn't have to, I mean, doesn't have to mean that you're in tech space. You know, for example, if you're working in events, I know a company, for example, in Brazil, they organize a lot of events and not just in one city. So they're often working remotely because they have to fly out to another city to explore different venues and activities to do there. So I know that a lot of the principles that I've mentioned in the past in other webinars, or a lot of processes here, they can definitely be applied to other industries. I think then it's just a matter of tweaking the process so that it fits your needs, you know. And even within the tech industry, it's not like every team that's remote will work the same. Also because there's, like, for example, we're 10 people, but the way we work is not the same as a company that has 70 remote people. It's going to be very different as you scale. Yeah, totally. So it's not just related to the industry, it's also related to what you're doing, also related to culture, not just work culture, but I think culture of people, like where they come from. So I've been lately interviewing people who work remotely in other companies, and I found that people who work, for example, in the US and have only maybe a US-based team, they have more of a similar mindset. But then once you start working with people from Europe and from Asia and from different parts of the world, you'll also encounter more, I don't want to call it conflict, but challenges, because people think differently and express themselves differently, not only because of their personality online, but also just in,
like culturally that is not on the same page.
Culturally not on the same page. And so I think those are more challenging than the actual industry, in my opinion. But then the industry, obviously tech and design are more open to remote work, but there's a whole lot of companies also in design and in these common industries which aren't open to remote collaboration yet. Oh, cool. 3 scientists working remotely.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think in so many fields, you're going to have more and more people working this way.
And actually, back to your comment about scaling teams, like how it can be different for a small team or bigger team. There's a question from Bruce. Do you think there is a maximum or optimum number of people collaborating online at the same time?
So if it's at the same time, okay, so collaborating online depends what your definition is of collaborating, because, you know, in a way you're all collaborating maybe for a big project, but you're in different like sub teams, or so it depends. But if you're talking about collaborating synchronously, in the same call, in the same whether ideation session or whatever it is, an ideal number, I would say, maybe I can base this on the workshops. What I've done is I try to get people in teams of 3 to 4. If we all have to talk, if we all have to actively participate, then I think 3 to 4 is good. Or even 6 is fine. I think then anything beyond that, though, you need more facilitation, and you'll need to split people up into groups. So one thing I like about Zoom, for example, and I've done this once we were 24 people. We gave a remote design thinking mini workshop. And what we did is we split people into groups, because I think it was 4 groups of 6, or was it 6? No, it was 6 groups of 4. So the good thing about Zoom is that you can create these rooms, and you can assign them to people, or you can just say randomly, you know, mix people up. And that's really fun because you mix these people up, and you as a host can jump from room to room. And you can answer questions. It's really like, like you would in a workshop in a physical space and go from one place to another. But I think, yeah, 3 to 4 is good for everyone to be able to be heard and be seen and be heard and participate actively. And beyond that requires a little bit more facilitation.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think the same pretty much applies to offline as well, because if you really want everyone to contribute, it should be a pretty small group so that everyone is comfortable to speak up and they're actually heard.
Yeah.
There is another question in our chat. How do you deal with the more quiet personalities in brainstormings, meetings, and making sure everyone is engaged? That's a really cool question.
Yeah.
You let everyone participate at the level they're comfortable with?
That is a very good question. And I will say that that's why you also need a facilitator. And the facilitator's job is not only to say, okay, this is the agenda for today's call. We're going to do these things. So you say in advance what you're going to do, and you kind of time how much time you're spending on each exercise or activity, but it's also the facilitator's role to make sure that everybody, gets a chance to speak. And then there are some people who are maybe more shy or just more silent or need more time to think. So I'm somebody who just kind of blurts out stuff when I think it, always. I always have an answer, although I haven't even thought about it, but I have an answer. Kind of what I'm doing the whole session, by the way. But other people that I've worked with, they just need a lot of time to think, maybe even a day to think about things and come back. So I think it's good practice maybe as a facilitator to also ask what people are comfortable with. If these are people that you know, and you don't have to ask them in the call because that's kind of putting them on the spot, but maybe before some kind of group collaboration team thing, you can send out, for example, a kind of survey or something and say, here's some questions that I'd like you to answer, and are you more quiet? Or like, also what I've done for people who need more time to think, I give them information before the exercise so that they can start thinking about it the day before or maybe a week before. And so when they come to workshop, everybody is already kind of on the same page and has had time to think. That's also useful.
Yeah, that's insightful. And there is Jared here saying that he's a facilitator as well, and he appreciated you making the point about culture. Okay, and another question from Aaron: is the upcoming augmented reality the future for remote collaboration? For example, virtual sticky note or real whiteboard?
Whoa. I would say that would be amazing. Maybe it's not for the immediate future. I mean, I can't even get Wi-Fi to work at home. So if I can have like decent Wi-Fi just as a starter, I had a friend who used to say, we've been to outer space and we can't even have like decent Wi-Fi on planet Earth.
My thinking, so, exactly. I always keep asking these questions. Like, serious.
I just need Wi-Fi, basic needs. Yeah, so it would be cool though. It would be cool to have that and have a lot of other stuff and holograms and God knows what. And yeah.
That would be very engaging for sure, because at least when it's an emerging technology, because everybody would like to write something on a virtual sticky note.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And also to have it mixed maybe with other senses, not just like sight, but also with sound and smell. And, if it's that kind of AR that we can push our imagination to really be in a completely different environment that stimulates us.
Here's a question, and the question in chat reminds me of another question that we have in the questions and answers tab, so I'm going to read both. How do you guys get big and interesting projects when you don't have a beautiful and cool office for that, and a new customer maybe requires a physical first meeting? And I think there was a similar question. Yeah, I think how do you guys get to sell your expertise versus a team that could meet with the client and collaborate with them face to face? So these are kind of similar questions. So let's get answering those.
Okay, so the beautiful and cool office used to be Hanno's dream as well. Kind of like an internal joke that we were going to be in Shoreditch in London, you know, with a lot of other creative companies there, and digital in the digital neighborhood. But when you think about it, at least in London, you know, that's quite an expensive place to have an office, even though you're in the place to be. And I think our office is way cooler because we can be anywhere and we can create specific offices. If we do need to meet our clients face to face, which has happened sometimes, we can rent out really cool places if we want and do whatever we want in those spaces. But that's generally not how we attract clients. And I think the way we attract clients and get interesting projects is by what we do and also how we work. And because we are so transparent with that, I think a lot of companies find that really interesting. And a lot of people contact us because, not even because they've seen our projects first, but because they've read our playbook. And by reading our playbook and reading our blog, they're like, wow, you guys have a very progressive way of working. It sounds really interesting. I would like to work with you. And I think we overshare a lot in things that we've been successful at, but also things we haven't been successful at. And I think that's today, in a certain way, authenticity is almost seen more attractive than all this kind of, you know, showy, we want to be this and we want to pretend we're that. We're not trying to seduce anyone in any way. We're doing this for ourselves first and foremost. And I think our clients can get a sense of that, and they want to be a part of that too. You know, who doesn't want to be able to work from anywhere? Maybe not. What's for sure is that remote work is not for everyone. Yeah, not everyone is suited. That's okay. I sometimes miss working I don't miss the office, but I sometimes, you know, can feel isolated in the sense that I'm on my own somewhere else and I don't have people to hang out with. But aside from that, I don't think anybody has ever thought, oh, working outside of my office is not a good idea. Yeah, so at least you try it. So the other question was also, why would people decide to work with us rather than a physical, like an on-site team? I think maybe I mentioned this earlier on. I think it has a lot to do with, again, our expertise, our skills, the previous things that we worked on. So I don't think anybody has chosen to work with us just because we are a distributed team. I think part of the attraction comes from the processes and the experience, the journey they'll go through with us, which has been influenced by the fact that we're distributed. Of course, that's affecting it, but that's not the core reason. But mainly they look at what can we do, what are our skills, what resources can we give, what are the ideas, the suggestions that we have come up with in our proposal. How do we do this? We're not going to meet them face to face, rarely, unless we're in the same city. And that's just like, even in London, because London is so big, I'd rather meet people online because I don't have the time to, you know, cross the city 45 minutes for a meeting and then come back. So because we have everything set up well online, this is where we pitch to our clients, you know, and what's great is that we can bring our technical person and our strategist and whoever want from anywhere in the world, they can come in, and that brings a special kind of flavor to the call as well. You know, it's much more fun, I would say, than to be in a big empty kind of sterile meeting room. Already people don't like meetings and like meeting rooms, whereas here it's like, yeah, you can Skype to us from the comfort of your own home. We've had sometimes clients talking to us and then their little kids come and wish them good night.
That's so sweet.
You know, and it's super sweet, and it gets the conversation going in another more personal direction without going too personal. And you get to know your clients as human beings, and they get to know us as human beings. We're not just robots executing what they need. And you're not going to have that in a meeting room, right? Because everybody's putting on their meeting room mask or whatever it is. You're not going to have this little kid coming. So yeah.
Okay, hopefully, Pierre, this answered your question. It was a great answer, and I totally can relate to it. And there's Andrea asking, without getting into details, but do you account your delocated setup to give clients better prices and be more competitive?
We have been, yeah, I think that has also played a role for some clients, especially for clients maybe in San Francisco, because the cost of design experts there is super high.
And they're
There's
not
so
paying for
high
your
demand.
fancy office?
And they're not, yeah, they're not paying for a fancy office. They're not having to pay for like the commute and all that stuff. So, in a way, yes, I think also the prices that we've had in the past reflect the fact that we don't have these overhead costs, and etc. And it has definitely been very attractive to some clients.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And there is another question here from Mike. How do you drive focused engagement and participation in the remote workshop environment where the lure of multitasking can distract from the task at hand? That's a great question because when there is no video, I'm sure people are always checking their phones, they're doing something
Yeah,
else. That's for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if people have done that now as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
during the past
Hands up, everybody who's distracted.
exactly. It happens to everyone, happens to the best of us. So I can't, I can't control and or do anything like that. What we tell people who join our workshops is, please, shut down any tab, any online tool or desktop app that you have open. Yeah, and Pierre has a point. People get distracted in real life meetings as well. People get distracted in real life workshops, real life seminars. People are, texting, fiddling with something else. So that's not something that I can control.
Enough.
Yeah, I think it's more about if people are really interested, they'll follow it. If the content is interesting, they'll be following it. And what I try to do with the workshops, and not because I don't want people to get distracted, but just because time is precious and spending too many hours online for workshops can be tiring. I keep it pretty fast paced. And sometimes it's so fast paced that I don't think people even have time to get distracted because we're jumping from like one thing to the next. And then I'm putting the crazy music on, and then we do like gift battles on the side, and we do like 2 or 3 things at the same time that people can kind of choose what they want to get into. And it becomes fun. And then I don't think people want to go somewhere else unless they have to keep an eye on their work, instant messaging or whatever it is. And, we're all adults, and I think people can figure out what they want to do.
And what I'm hearing is that maybe it takes quite a bit of preparation because you're saying that everything's so fast paced and you have a variety of options to choose from. So probably, preparing workshops very well so that you have a bunch of options for people.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah, we prepare. So, the online space, like I'll have all these templates on the whiteboard, with everything prepared in advance. I'll make sure that all the participants receive like a guide or a pre-workshop document where they have all the links they need to download Slack, join the Slack team. They'll get an invite. They'll get introduced to basically all the tools we'll be using in advance. And then they can already maybe have a glance at the templates we've had. Maybe I even give them a homework and say, fill in the icebreaker exercise here and check out the tutorial videos there. And we do prepare all these things in advance. Then now we have it ready, but each time you always find a way of improving it. So yeah, it does require a lot of preparation.
Okay, thank you. And we actually have more questions here, but I want to check how we are with time. How much more time do we have? Because
I can stay on for maybe like 15 more minutes.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, I guess we can answer as many questions as we can, and then if there are any unanswered, then we can do a quick follow-up, and I'll just mail the answers out. So there is this question with 5 upvotes. How do you manage all stakeholders to adopt and actively participate in the process? I think remotely it's even harder than physically sometimes. I think you did in part answer this question, but let's do it again real quick.
Right. So the stakeholders, I'm counting people who are not already in the team and who already know how to use these things. I think, as I mentioned before, with our clients, we send them, for example, the playbook, the Hanno playbook in advance so that they can understand how we operate and the kind of things that we use. Then we have things like a kickoff call once we've signed a contract, and we onboard them to everything that we use and make sure that we answer all of their questions, any doubts that they have. Then yeah, as we progress, we have, for example, we might have also like an all-in-one document, which is useful for both the team and people on the client side, where it's like a Google Doc maybe with here are all the important links that will be that go out to like the online whiteboard, to the instant messaging, to any prototype that we've done. All these links are in one document. To the folders, the shared folders, we always have shared folders. And then we also decide on a time to have a daily stand-up call. Mm-hmm. So maybe not everybody on the team will join, but people who can overlap with that, whose time zones overlap the most with the product owner on the client side. So we'll make sure that the client understands that and that they see the value in it, because a lot of times people will say, I don't have time to come every day online at that time. But when they see that we keep them really short, these aren't like long meetings, they can be 10, 15 minutes long, where we just kind of review what we've done so far and what we're going to do that day. And they can ask questions and we can quickly answer them. Then they see the value in it, and then we really push for them to come as much as possible. But then we also use different channels to, again, share and over communicate what we've done, just to make sure that if people haven't been able to come to the stand-up call, not everybody on the client side will come either. So then we use something called the PPP, which is a document we'll write about plans, progress, and problems. We'll share that on Slack. We'll share that on Basecamp. We just make sure that people will eventually, read what we've done so far. And that's how we onboard them. And then the other stakeholders, like the users that we're building solutions for, we maybe don't design so much with them all the time, unless it depends, but mainly we're reaching out to people for user research and user testing. And then we have our own platform there to recruit people, and we tell them in advance what they need to have for a user testing call, for example, which is mainly like a webcam and good Wi-Fi, and we'll tell them if they need like a phone or their desktop, their laptop open, and we can, again, prepare all those things in advance, and then make sure that they have it.
Yeah, so it's like make their experience as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
And I think when you mentioned Basecamp, I saw a question about tracking projects. So here's a question from Chatty. He already left, but we'll make sure we mail the answer to them. How do you track your projects? Do you use real-time board or other software for that? So how do you track your projects?
So to track our progress, we have different things actually. So to see like who's working on what project, we use harvest forecast. That's kind of just to see like when people are working and when they're offline on holiday. Then we have Trello boards sometimes that we use internally. So Trello will share also the client. Internally, we'll use Asana, but that's more to assign tasks to each other. And then, yeah, that's mainly what we use, like a Trello or Basecamp. Not really. Basecamp, we use it just to like send messages to the clients to make sure that everybody involved, all the stakeholders involved, are receiving the messages. Just wondering if, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And we have, I mean, like I said, we have our PPP and we have our daily updates and weekly updates internally as well.
So it's like templates that you designed and they work for you. And there are actually more questions about tools that you guys use. One is from Andrea. What do you use to test mobile remotely? And the other is from Bruce. Do you have a favorite tool for rapid prototyping?
So we've used things like InVision. We've used things like Proto.io. We've used things, I think, yeah, a lot of InVision. We've used sometimes like for low fidelity, like very rapid prototyping, we use like Google Slides.
And that's an example that you gave with creating the slides.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, you know, you can, with the buttons and the slides, you can make people go to the next one. So if we're trying to do something super rapid, I would say Slides is the fastest.
And then testing mobile remotely?
Yeah, like InVision or Proto.io. I'm wondering if I'm missing, I mean, we've used different ones as well. But then also I'm just gonna post here something, because we've created a platform called Ping Pong where we recruit users and ask also, well, we actually have other companies using this as well now. It's like a database of users. Yeah.
And I think we can share all of the tools that you mentioned when we do a follow-up email so that everyone can take a look at those tools. Yeah. So here's...
Sorry, I just got a message that I have to actually go sooner than I thought.
Yeah, I think...
If we could maybe...
Yeah.
Wrap up earlier than what I said, just because I just realized that I have to go on another call soon.
Yeah, and I think attention span is pretty much this 1 hour session that we have. So we have, I guess, 3 or 4 more questions that we haven't answered yet. Okay. So I'm going to send them over to you and we'll get answers in writing. Yeah. And then we'll share the recording of the CMA session as well as the answers and some links that you shared, your thesis, obviously, and all the cool tools that you use. So thank you, everyone who came today and asked me all these questions. Yeah, thanks, guys. It was a great conversation that we had here, and thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully, we'll see you on June 22nd when we're talking to an agile coach, Gerard Chiva. So make sure you register for that event and ask questions, and we'll let Laïla go and hopefully see you again. I'm sure we can do another MA. Cool. Thank you very much for having me. It's been great. Thanks a lot. And yeah, do reach out if you have any questions. Bye.